This is a video on how to deploy an OpenShift cluster onto your own hardware. I have a server running Fedora that I will be utilizing, and I created a small guide that Claude can follow, and then hopefully with those steps it should be able to deploy most of the cluster. I will have to go into the UI and do a little bit of the configurations that need to be done inside the installer in the UI. But other than that, I think Claude should be able to handle most of it, and the main goal is just to get this cluster running, and then hopefully have something for the preceding videos on how to work with OpenShift and Claude. And all right, so the prompt that I was able to come up for Claude to start creating this is I'm giving it the guide to follow to create the single node OpenShift cluster, and then asking it to just go step by step, not try to give more or input, just follow it as the guidebook was set, and then hopefully it's able to just go command by command and get to the point of having this cluster up and running. First thing is to check for the existing network. So should, yes. Okay, go ahead. Info. Yep. Forwarding, yes. Okay. Yep, so now we can go ahead and check for, yes, resolve in the config. Okay, so we got to the step of going to the UI. Now we can go ahead and go to the console for Red Hat and select, you'll be in this screen here. You want to go to create cluster and then go to data center, create cluster, and then we can start here, Snow Pavilion, right? Let's do that. Local domain, we can leave it at that, or homelab.com. Sure. OpenShift 2211, that's fine. Our architecture is x86-64. Yep. Editable secret, nope. Everything else, and then one single node. It tells you here, so we can name it this. Version latest stable, yes. Architecture, single node, and then skip the operators. So next, then we can skip these operators. Next, host discovery, click add host, then it shows to be minimal image, and then add the public key. So generate ISO. Okay, so now that you can generate that, we can go ahead and cd, let's go to that other directory that we had, and let's download it on here and give it to Claude. So here, you can paste it, download it. Okay, perfect. Okay, now it should continue on. Yes, most parts should be good. Yep. Create the VM. So let's Snow. I think it's on the process of creating the VM, which should be up here. Now it's gonna list to see if we are good. Yes. And now we see the host appear in the UI as it's said here. Go back to the assisted UI, wait for the VM to appear in host inventory. It can take up to 2 to 5 minutes. The host should show as ready with the green check mark. Click next through the storage and networking steps and review the settings on the final page. AO proceed steps starting the installation. Okay, so yep, it's right here. This is the correct one. Date, memory, It just needed to sync this. Okay, so the NTP just needed to sync. Now we can go ahead next. Custom manifest, nope, next. Pre-flight, yep. Install cluster. The install is starting. It checked to see if the VM is still running. I know the VM had to reboot in order for it to actually fully initialize. So I wonder if in the process it will remember to do so. But if not, I think that's pretty much the last step. Now it's just a waiting game, making sure that everything installs properly. Once it's all configured correctly, give this some time and I'll come back once it's fully initialized. So one thing I did want to show is that when it got to step 6, it shows that it's in a rebooting state, but the machine itself is actually shut off. All you have to do is just turn it back on. I created a SSH tunnel to see it through VNC. So you can go here. You could also do it through the terminal as well. But just to have a variation of what you can do is go here and then you see it shut off right there. We can go ahead and start it up. See it running and then slowly continuing and progressing here. So if we list it, it's in a running state. Now we just continue to wait with the install process and go forward from there. So it looks like the cluster finished initializing and everything successfully installed. We can take a look here at our UI and you can see that it initialized, shows you the events, and you can see that it successfully completed installing the cluster. Now we can verify with a few things here. If we go to the server itself and do an OC get CO, we see all of our operators are up and running. Now we can also verify within our VNC OC, who am I? Okay, so I already have the kube config here. We can go ahead and supply the kube config. OC, who am I? Show. Okay, we can go here, open link, and it will take us to the console, and it should show, yep, kubeadmin. I already added the password for the kubeadmin, which is in the UI here. The kubeadmin password is given to you with the console itself, but since this can only be routed and accessed through inside the server, I can only access it through the UI in the VNC. After running all those steps, you should have an OpenShift cluster up and running in your own server. It can run on any Linux environment, really. If you supply Claude the guide, it will run through the steps and make sure that everything is set up as it's supposed to, and then you'll have an OpenShift cluster up and running. If you want that guidebook, I'll link it below, and then go ahead and give this a run.